Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So about 4 years ago, I posted a video sharing the detailed process of getting my spooling and despooling design patented. And I'm now happy to announce that the patenting process has gone through and I am now the proud owner of my very own utility patent. Here is what the design is comprised of. A base with 2 threaded rods on either side. 2 reel foot holder rings. 2 nuts that fit over the threaded rods. And 2 recesses on either side of the base. A fly fishing reel is secured to the mounting area by pushing one side of the reel foot into the recess, sliding the ring over the other side, and then securing it by tightening the nut. The idea is to attach 2 reels facing each other to transfer fly line from one to the other easily. But obviously most fly lines are weight forward and tapered in a specific direction. Here is an illustration of what weight forward fly line looks like. As you can see, the tip, otherwise known as the head, is the thickest part of the line, and it then tapers down to a thinner width as it gets to the running line. The head is the part that you attach to your leader, which then has the fly on it, and the running line is the end that attaches to your backing, which goes onto the reel. For those of you who don't know, backing is a very thin and strong line that attaches directly onto the spool or arbor of a fly reel. So, in the case of weight forward line, a reel is attached to one end and a spool is attached to the other. That way you transfer the line from the reel to the spool and then from the spool to a new reel. I'm currently in the process of turning my design into a product that I can sell. So in this video I'd like to talk about the different iterations of my design and what I plan on doing going forward. The first iteration had a few annoying issues that I wanted to improve. One of the main issues being that the hexagonal shape of the nut isn't easy to grip and twist with your fingers. And it would often get jammed at some point on the threaded rod while you're trying to rotate it. To get it unstuck, I would often have to grip it with pliers to unscrew it again. This is probably due to the fact that the threads are so small and close together, which is fine for parts made of metal, but not ideal for parts 3D printed in layers of plastic. Often residue material would get into the grooves of the thread as the parts rub against each other. It's also possible that when you're twisting the nut over the threaded rod, it generates heat, which ends up warping and melting the plastic. All these factors, I think, contributed to why the nut kept getting jammed. So since I planned on making the final product out of metal such as steel or aluminum, I decided to only change the design of the nut. I rounded its edges and gave it 3 arms sticking out to make it easier to grip. But after doing some research and talking to a few knowledgeable people, I learned that manufacturing a custom metal rod required specialized CNC equipment that was very expensive to use. I then looked into buying threaded rods that were already made. However, I wasn't able to easily find threaded rods that were the correct size for my design. And I didn't want the manufacturer of my product to be dependent on whether or not I could find enough of the correct size threaded rod. One of the people I spoke to suggested using a slip ring design instead of a threaded rod, like the reel seat on handmade bamboo rods. So I then made these 2 prototypes that utilize the slip ring design. and they worked relatively well, but for some reason I just didn't feel right about implementing this solution for my design. The threaded rod design just felt more sturdy and was an important feature stated in my patent. So I went back to my original threaded rod design and decided to improve it. Since the cost of metal machining is so high, I decided to optimize my design for plastic manufacture, and also for manufacturing the product using a 3D printer. So for the next version, I made the thread on the rods and nuts thicker with the grooves spread wider apart. These improvements made the screwing action very smooth and almost completely frictionless. So now I had a much better design for the base of my spooling and despooling design, but didn't have something to mount a standard fly fishing line spool onto. I wanted the spool holder that I create to be compatible with the majority of, if not all, store-bought fly line spools. I also wanted the user to be able to wind fly line back onto a fly line spool from a reel. Here is the first iteration of the spool holder. As you can see, there's a gap inside the base of the spool holder that I made so that I could embed a nut into the part mid-print. Here you see me inserting the nut into the print while the printer is paused mid-print. Here I'm busy assembling the bolt handle by gluing two parts together to encase the hex head of the bolt into the handle. Now you see me sliding the spring, washer and spool onto the bolt. The bolt is then screwed into the nut that's embedded inside the base. It needs to be screwed in far enough for the washer and spring to firmly press against the spool, causing friction, similar to the drag system in a fly fishing reel. However, when the spool was rotated in a certain direction, the bolt kept unscrewing and loosening the pressure on the spool. Something else that was a problem was the alignment of the spool when everything was attached to the base. The spool was not aligned with the center of the base. The second iteration had an indent to align the spool with the center of the base. It also had a lock nut embedded in it instead of a normal nut to prevent it from unscrewing when the spool was rotated in a specific direction. Although the lock nut fixed the unwanted loosening of the bolt, it now made it very difficult for the user to unscrew the bolt in order to remove the spool. Something that was missing from this design was a cranking handle that would make it easier to wind fly line back onto a spool. I was thinking of making a clip-on handle to attach onto a spool and make it easier to rotate the spool that way. But that would mean that there would be potentially something grabbing and chafing the fly line on the inside of the spool when it rotates. So I went back to the drawing board and came up with this design for the spool holder. The one end of the bolt has a crank handle attached to it, and the other end goes through the hole in the spool holder body. On the other side is a spool securing stopper and a spool securing nut that are used to fasten and secure a spool onto the bolt to make it rotate together with the bolt. The spool securing nut has a steel nut embedded into it. Here you see me assembling the crank handle. I glued parts of the handle together, encasing the hex head of the bolt. The spool securing stopper is this shaft collar that I purchased from Amazon. Here is how the spool holder is attached to the main base, and how the spool is attached to the spool holder. Here is how everything works together. Overall, I'm quite pleased with this design and how far I've come from the first iteration. However, there are a few issues with this design that need addressing. The spool holder makes the spool sit too high in relation to the adjacent reel, so it needs to be lowered. If you attach the spool holder onto the wrong side of the base, the nut will unscrew when the spool is rotated in a certain direction. A quick solution to this would be to mark the side of the spool holder and the correct side of the base to indicate that the marks should line up with each other. But not all users would immediately notice or understand this and might get frustrated with the product. The other issue is, if the user uses this product to wind backing onto their reel, they would have to apply pressure to the backing with their fingers in order to ensure that it's wound tightly enough on their reel. Backing has to be wound very tightly over a reel to ensure that it does not dig into itself and get tangled when pulled on hard by a big fish. So for the future iteration, I will be adding a feature that applies the correct amount of tension to backing when spooling backing onto your fly reel. So eventually, once I'm happy with the design and how my product works, I plan on starting the production process. And for a manufacturing method, I was thinking of using 3D printing. It gives me a lot of flexibility with how many units I make, and makes it easy to tweak the design of a product and add features to it later if I want to make different versions of my product. Using a manufacturing process such as injection molding takes away a lot of this flexibility. Making an injection mold costs a lot of money and then requires you to produce and sell a lot of units in order to make profit. Also, if you want to make another version of your product, you probably have to manufacture an entirely new mold. So this is where I currently am at with my product and things that I've been researching and thinking about. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!